Okay. Happy Tuesday. I want to begin. Bring the back of your wrist to your knees and bring your first two fingers to touch your thumbs. And then as you sit up, as you close your eyes and you sit up straight, if you looked at a line, open, point your toes forward, get your outer ankle bones off the ground. You pull your front hip bones in so you open up your lower back. Your lower back and your hips are different places. If you drew a line from the top of your thigh to your lower ribs, to your shoulders, to your armpits, to your ears, could that be a straight up line? Can you hold yourself up? Your breath, where does your breath go? Relax your tongue and your jaw. Let your shoulders drop down. If you tend to drop your chin forward, could you bring your chin backward a bit so you're deepening your throat? Outer ankle bones off the ground. Get your sits bones in underneath you. Long, slow, deep breaths. Alright, when you come to a new inhalation and you open your eyes, we're going to come backward. So as you bring your hands behind you, your fingers pointing towards your hips, you don't want to push this forward. You want to pull that backward. You want to lift yourself up so you can bring the back of your body forward toward the front of your body, which is holding steady. Hug your elbows in under your shoulders, under the tops of your arms. So you're not really pushing the lower ribs forward. You're pulling the lower ribs backward. You're lifting yourself up. You're holding your weight. You're breathing. Alright, then when you inhale, you come back side upright. We're going to come forward, sacrum. You want to engage your feet. You want to come forward through the sacrum. You keep your hands behind you. You put your hands on your knees. Put your hands out sideways. You can interlace your fingers behind your back. You can bring them forward. Release the base of your neck. C7, T1, and I've said this to you before. There's a condition when this gets all jammed up here. It's called dowager hump. It's too close to your brain to start closing off your energy supply. Your nerve energy supply. All the way down to the base of the spine. The sacrum, the sacred part of your spine. Then you come back up. Maybe bring your arms way up. And pull your lower ribs backward. When you're ready, we're going to, I'll be your mirror image. So when you're ready, we're going to bring the left hand to the right leg. The right hand comes around behind. Can you keep your hips level? So if this right knee went forward, hip went forward, pull it backward, get the groins to work. So you want the twist to be in the thoracic spine rather than the lumbar spine, and the cervical spine. Forget to breathe. To point your toes forward. Alright, then come back around and roll your shoulders. You're going to bring the arms up again, right up through your fingertips. Alright, so hold your lower ribs in. When you're ready, and you bring your left hand to your right leg, and your right hand comes behind. Again, if this went forward, stabilize the base, your foundation, because then you can lift. You know what your spine looks like. You know what your hip bones look like. Tuck your chin so your throat is deep. So you don't want the base of the skull to drop onto the cervical spine, the tops, the atlas vertebra. Turn your your right hip in. All right, and then coming back around. All right. We're going to come on to hands and knees. Before anyone says anything, I've done something to my toe, and somebody will say, well, why didn't you have your shoes on? I'm going, well, been in my garden. All right, so line up your hands, longest fingers forward, second toes backward, widen your toes. Pull the tops of your arms in, your lower ribs in, the front hip bones in, and can you keep all of that while you inhale and lift your collarbones and your pubic bones away from one another? When you exhale, you take your hips and your head away from one another. How do your right side and your left side feel? Shoulders back, arms and legs hugged in. Long breath. All right, and as you exhale, child's pose. Shift yourself around. We're going to do thread the needle. So, from here. Again, support all of this. Hold your shoulders back. We're going to bring the right hand behind the left hand. Right palm up, left palm down. Now, right now, pull your left side in. No, your right side in, sorry. Hold your shoulders back and tuck your chin and turn. Hold your shoulders back. If you decide you want to keep this straight line, pubic bone, navel, breastbone, throat, but if you can come down onto your forearm, you need to move your forearm. If you can you think you can come down onto your shoulder, but look at the shape that you're making in your spine. See if you've collapsed any place, and if you've collapsed any place, don't go so far if you can't fix that collapse. You breathing? Can't see you. All right, so we're going to come back, roll shoulders around, and move your hips side. So we're going to bring the other hand, I can't remember which side I said, push with both hands. Now, this support arm, or the support, push it down, hold your shoulders back, tuck your chin, turn your face. Now, if you can get the belly supported, if you can come down to your forearm, keep your belly supported. Look at the shape that you're creating in your spine. If your belly's dropping, can you pick it up? Don't go so far. It's not about far. And you're looking for little things, small things. Come back. Child's pose. Long, slow breaths. All right. Downward facing dog. Come backward through your thumbs. Come backward through your big toes. Come backward through your inner knees. Come backward at the pointed ends of your shoulder blades. Come backward with your at the depth of your throat. Tuck your chin. Pull your navel backward, the base of the breastbone backward. All right, we're going to do sun salutation. So as you walk your feet forward toward the narrow edge of your mat, and you stand up. Right. So as you stand in mountain pose, feet about hip width apart, and if you drew a line from your outer ankle bone to your hip, to your armpit, to your ears, could you get it a straight line? So you've got nothing pushed out of line or tightened out of line, or modify it however you need to modify it, but you know that'll be, I've got room here. All right, so as you turn your palms out, you inhale, you bring your arms out and around and up, without pushing anything forward. So straight up, so ankle, hip, armpit, wrist, ears. When you exhale, you sweep your arms around and you come into your forward fold. Now maybe you have to bend your knees. Tuck your chin. Push with your hands wherever they are. All right, when you're ready, you can inhale, going to take the right foot way back. Now can you bring your right hip bone around? Hold your shoulders back, tuck your chin in. You'd like your knee to stay over your outer ankle bone. You're breathing, tuck your tummy in. When you exhale, you bring your left foot back. So you're downward facing dog again. Are your feet lined up? Are your hands lined up? You're pulling your lower ribs backward. Your heels may never touch the ground. Deep in the fronts of your ankles. All right, then when you're ready, inhale, bring your shoulders over your hands. Now, maybe do chaturanga, careful with your shoulders. Maybe come down onto your knees, turn your toes. Maybe your knees lift up, maybe they don't lift up. Turn the crease of your elbows forward. Yeah. Turn your toes backward. Bring your spine in behind your breastbone. Broaden your collarbones. When you exhale, you come back into down dog. Feel your breath. Bigger, slower, different, I don't know. Okay, you're looking at your hands. When you're ready, you're going to shift the weight and get the right foot forward. Maybe it's a step. Maybe you have to come down and get your hand to bring your foot forward. Then you find your lunge. Shoulders back. If this left hip is behind, could it come right? If your right waist is short, can you fix it? When you exhale, you bring your left foot forward, hug your legs, tuck your chin. Turn the inside chips of your knees backward. So to come back up, use your legs, use your abdominals when you inhale, and you lift yourself up. Again, ankle, hip, armpit, wrists, ears. When you exhale, you bring your arms around, hands come into prayer, close your eyes. Feel your breath. Long, slow breaths. Relax your jaw and your tongue. All right. So eyes open, we're going to do the second side. So when you inhale, you bring your arms out and around it without changing your alignment. Without changing your alignment. And when you exhale, you bring your arms around. You're going to tilt your hips around the tops of your thighs. Tuck your chin. Can you feel the inner sides of your ankles? And the insides of your wrists. Left foot, when you're ready to inhale, you step your left foot way back. Can you keep your knee? Your knee wants to fall out sideways. Get your base of the big toe to work. If your right waist is short, can you fix it by leveling off your hips? Hold your shoulders back. When you exhale, you bring your right foot back. Line them up. Turn the crease of your elbows forward. It's going to change what happens in your shoulder blades. And use all of your fingers. All right, then inhale, plank pose. Now maybe do chaturanga. Keep your elbows tucked in. Lift your knees up. If you can, you lift your knees up. Find the quad muscles at the fronts of your thighs. Find your calf muscles because you use your feet. When you exhale, maybe you can roll back over your toes. Coming again into downward facing dog. Long, slow breaths. Okay, looking toward your hands. Are you ready? Somehow you get your left foot forward. If your left waist is short, can you level off your hips? Keeping your ribs and your hips equal distance, right and left. When you exhale, you bring your right foot forward. Hug your legs. Tuck your chin. Can you get an inward with your legs? An internal rotation. When you inhale, you lift yourself back up. Exhale, bringing your arms around. Hands come into prayer pose. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Relax your tongue and your jaw. All right. And then coming around. All right. We're going to do triangle pose. To your right. Now, again, pull your legs in. Use your feet. Can you feel the spaces between the bones in your feet? You're not trying to crank this hip backward. It's not hip square to the front. We did this yesterday. The angle here at the top of this front leg, that's what you've got. You know? Shoulders are done. When you then come into your triangle pose, use this front hand. Bring your front hip bones in, pull your lower ribs in, tuck your chin in. Now again, as you want your top of your thigh to stay around your foot, same stuff I say all the time. If you can keep that alignment and decide you're going to go a bit further, but then if it puts you off center, then back up a bit. Where you feel comfortable, where you feel confident. All right, when you now come back up. Roll your shoulders, come the other side. And get your legs to work, pull them in underneath you. Can you go to arches in your feet? Feel the palms of your hands. All right, so again, this is coming in, this is coming in. This stays in. When you come into your triangle pose, the second side. Tuck your chin. If it works to turn your face, try to let your chin go away from your base of your throat is deep. Shoulders are back and down. Tummy's tucked in. Use the abdominals. If you're not using the abdominals, this bottom side is going to collapse. So you want that to come out that way. Again, you can go further if you feel like going further. But don't let your alignment, don't lose your alignment because you're eager to go further. When you inhale, come back up. Turning your feet round and roll your shoulders. All right, we're going to do warrior one. I'll change maybe to the right. Can you level off your hips? If the base of your hips are going backward, this one's going backward, and these are coming forward, could you fix that? You want to hold this in, for always the front side of the spine. So when you bend your knee, can you keep your hips quite low? Can you have a backward energy through your right thigh? And then raise your arms. The lower ribs are coming backward, not forward. Can you still pull energy in through your feet? So you get the tops of the thighs coming deeper into your hips, maybe. It's happening at the front of this back leg. Long, slow breaths, deep in your throat. When you inhale, you come back up. When you come around the other way. All right. So again, front hip bones come in. Pull your legs in, the arches in your feet. It's important, the arches in your feet. So when you start bending this front leg, Can you keep this back hip coming around? Can you keep your navel coming backward? Can you keep the base of your breastbone steady? So you haven't pushed all this forward. Raising your arms when you're ready to raise your arms. It's happening at the front of your back leg. Can you still put that backward energy through this front foot? Your big toe to your inner heel. And then now you come back up. As you turn your feet round and get them back under, we're going to bend the knees, hang down over your legs. How's your lower back feel? And open it up. I'm going to hang down. I'm going to bend one knee at a time. I'm happy being still. And then inhale, lifting yourself back up. Right. We're going to do revolve triangle. So let's shift this one. Get your legs, don't lock your knees, find your calf muscles. Calf muscles, just the knee end of your shin bones is a forward. So you have to use the calf muscles, you have to use the peroneus muscles. I'm going to stretch the arms out. Now hold your legs steady. Can you use the glutes? Can you use the abdominals? When you come forward, tuck your chin. When you get yourself parallel to the ground, then bring your left hand down and your right hand up. Maybe you've got your hand on your shin. You'd like to open this right chest away from your right foot. Can you let this left hip come around, this back one? So you bring your front hip bones toward one another. Get your big toe to work. Breathe. Tuck your chin and look towards the top of your right thigh. Can you, in your peripheral vision, can you see your outer foot? All right, when you inhale, come back up. Change around the other side. You have to keep the same straight coming back as you went in. All right, so pull your legs and get arches in your feet. The deep in the fronts of your ankles, that's a backward. So the knee end of your shin bones has a slight forward. You're using those calf muscles. All right, so when you come forward, and then you sweep your arms. Don't forget to breathe. Tuck your chin in, tuck your tummy in. Can that right hip come around? Can you bring these front hip bones toward one another? Can you open your chest? Now again, maybe you've come here. Hold your shoulders back. This shoulder in your back. Then when you come back, lift yourself up. We're going to do Warrior Two, and then make an extended lateral. We'll go to your right side, my left side. Pull your legs in. Pull the tops of your arms and your wide, stretching out through your fingertips. Yeah? If your back waist is short, you've lost this. You're not managing your lower ribs. You're not managing this abdominal space, your lumbar spine. So it's a big step out. So when you pull energy backward through your right foot, get the calf muscles to work. Yeah? The top of the back thigh to drop in. Again, if you're leaning towards your right leg, your front leg. Yeah? Hug your shoulder blades into your back. Look softly, gaze, drishti. Then as you bring your back hand down and your front hand up. And when you come out over your leg, start here. Come here, you from this outer back foot, through the hip, through the armpit, to the fingertips. Turn the little finger side of your hand forward. The triceps forward. So you create space in here. Now, if you can bring this further, you want to come into this further, but don't collapse this shoulder. This top of this arm has to stay in the shoulder space. These lower ribs, can you manage these lower ribs? You're breathing, relax your tongue. All right, now to come back up, maybe you can lift your body up first. Maybe you have to straighten your legs. So maybe you can do it this way. Maybe you have to do it this way and help yourself up. Second side. All right, so pull your legs in, get arches in your feet. When you start, pull the tops of your arms in, stretch your fingers long. When you start pulling backward through your left foot, you get your calf muscles to work. You feel your hamstrings, you've got 3. If you're dropping towards your bent leg, can you not do that? What about the outside of this back foot? Chin tucked in. Hugging, you got the body muscles working, you got your lower back open, not closed, not pinched. Alright, so we'll go into this extended level. So when you come out, can you bring this side toward the line of your leg? You may have to keep your hand on your hip. Maybe you want to bring your hand around behind you toward the top of this thigh. Maybe you want to come into it deeper. Maybe you want to do a bind, which will be, bringing it around like so. Alright, so again, to come back up, do you need to straighten your leg first and then use your hand? Maybe you can lift your body up first and then straighten your leg. I'm going to step the feet back. I'm going to do eagle pose. So, whichever leg you're going to bend, you cross the other leg over. Now, maybe you have to keep those toes on the ground. Maybe you can wrap it around behind you. You've got this leg on top. I've got I'm going to say your left leg on top. So it's going to bring, the opposite arm in front. Right now, pull your belly backward. Use your lower ribs to work. When you sit down, you lift your elbows up, fingertips toward the ceiling, point your thumbs backward. It's going to change what happens across your shoulders, the base of your neck. You're breathing. All right, then inhale, coming back up. I will do the other side. So bend this knee. Maybe your toes have to stay on the ground. So that's where you are today. So it's whichever leg is on top, you put the opposite arm on top. Maybe your hands are out here. Maybe they can come in. Drop your shoulders down. As you drop your hips down, lift your elbows up. Turn your thumbs backward. Fix your gaze on something. And then inhale, coming back up. Nice. Okay, we're going to come into child's pose. You're going to shift your weight side to side. You're going to rest your forehead on your hands. We're going to do half camel. If you need more cushion, fix it. If you want to turn your toes under. As you bring your right hand behind you and you tuck your elbow in behind you without twisting yourself, you want this right hip bone to come forward. Again, maybe this is all you got. Tuck your chin in, pull your belly backward, lift the back of your neck up, get your ribs out of your kidneys, and maybe there's a back bend. Not because you're pushing anything forward, but you're lifting it up and then you create space. If you want to put your hand on your foot, and maybe you turn your toes under. Yeah. Creating space, gotta make space. Inhale, coming back up. I'm gonna sit down on your heels. I'm gonna shift your weight around. All right, we'll do the other side. So as you bring your left hand to your hip and your right hand toward the ceiling, again, maybe you turn your toes under. Bring your front hip bones toward your lower ribs. Tuck your elbow in. As you lift up, tuck your chin, the base of your neck. Don't collapse the base of your neck. Don't just drop your head backward. Now, maybe the front is strong, the back is long. Now, breathe. Don't forget to breathe. And put your hand on your foot. Slowly come back up. Slowly come into child's pose. Feel your breath. All right. Who are you going to next? All right. We'll come onto our hands and knees. Line up your hands, long fingers forward, thumbs inward, knees lined up. Put your right foot back on the ground. Hold your shoulders back, pull your lower ribs in. And see about lifting your right leg off, not your hip, your leg. There's an internal with this lifting leg. So roll from your little toe to your big toe. Now you decide if you're going to bring your left arm forward. You might have to change, you don't want to fall on your nose. And hold your shoulders back, tuck your tummy in. Find your glutes, these muscles that are going to hold the hip steady. Alright, then come back. Alright, so take the left foot back, tuck your tongue in. Not your hip, but your leg. The leg is an internal, so that left hip bone is turning in. And you decide if you're going to bring your right arm forward or not. Feel your breath. Long, slow breaths. When you exhale, come back. Child's pose. Imagine you're getting a back rub. Used to. Before we started doing yoga this used to be my front porch. This is where this might be. It used to be an outside window. All right. Let's do cobra. Tuck your chin in. Bring the base of your breastbone backward. Hug your arms in, elbows come in, so the tops of your arms are falling into the base of your neck, C71. Relax your jaw and your tongue, widen your fingers, widen your toes, press your feet down. And when you're ready, and you start lifting the base of your throat, the base of your neck upward, hug your elbows in. Then you can lift your chin a bit. Again, don't just let the base of your neck fall, the base of your head, the base of your skull fall onto the top of your spine. Yeah. Open your throat. But keep the base of it deep. And you still get your toes wide, your elbows hugged in. You could use your elbows to hold your rib cage up. Yeah. Tops of the thighs stay on the ground. When you exhale and you come back down, now you come into child's pose. Up to you. All right. Long, slow breaths. So, inversion, I've been doing, when they did crow pose, I've been doing shoulder stand. You can put your legs up the wall. You do shoulder balance. If you have any uncontrolled high blood pressure, uncontrolled glaucoma, Meniere's disease, leaky heart valve stuff, you don't do inversions. You do down dog, you put your legs up the wall. All right, so, maybe this is where you are. Got a strap, you put a strap around your feet. If you want to, then lift your hips up. If your elbows go too far out, you're going to collapse the tops of your arms into your neck, base of your neck. And you get the little finger sides of your hands parallel to your spine. Relax your jaw. Yeah, maybe you do tree pose. Maybe you work on lotus. Maybe you use something like so. You're using your abdominals. You bring the cheeks of your buttocks into the backs of your thighs. Then slowly bring your legs down, bring your arms down, and you roll yourself down. And your breath. All right, we're going to sit up. Extend the legs just enough to bring the soles of the feet together. And bring your hands to your knees, push down with your hands, lift up with your knees. So that get your muscles to work. You bring your front hip bones in. If you keep your elbows tucked in line with the tops of your arms, and you start coming forward, and again, carrying in about the sacrum. If you're stuck here, you have to work on this first. So maybe you just rock the pelvis to loosen that up, because if that's going backward, this can't come forward. So you see the difference? Interesting watching myself. I can't do anything here. I can struggle away at it. Don't struggle. But if you can hold yourself up and you can move from there to find this, tuck your chin. Maybe keep your hands behind you, maybe bring your hands around your toes. You're going to hold your shoulders back, you're going to come forward with your collarbones. You still want to keep that action in your legs that you had when you were pushing down with your hands and up with your knees. Yeah. Don't forget to breathe. All right, then come back. All right. We'll bring the right ankle to the left thigh. Now, if you brought your left hand behind you, you brought your right hand to your right knee, and you push down with your hand and up with your knee, does that give that leg a different strength than if you didn't do anything with your hand? All right, so this left leg, second toe toward the ceiling. This is an internal. If this is falling out this way, this is going to be hard. Yeah. And maybe this is all you got. Okay, this is what I got. I can keep that left leg turned in. I can keep that right leg. I can keep the right leg working, and maybe you have to keep your hand there. If you could hug your right leg and foot. You could bring your hands to your left foot, roll from your little toe to the big toe. If your big toe is closer to you than your little toe, can you fix that? Shoulders are back. Release the weight of your head. Keep the tops of energy of your arms as a backward. And inhale, coming back up. All right, circles with your feet. All right, we'll do the other side. So your right leg turns in. Bring your left hand to your left knee. Push down with your hand. Lift up with your knee. Now find that action of the muscles holding the bone, the knee bone, the end of your thigh bone wide. And coming up through here, get your front hip bones in, and come from the sacrum. The shape of you know what your spine looks like. Imagine what the shape of your spine is doing in this. You want to lengthen the curves of your spine. Again, see, my right leg was falling out. So you want the inner thigh, the inner knee to come toward the floor, because then you have something to come up and over. If this is sloppy, then there's no support for anything up here. And you tuck your chin. And inhale, coming back up. And circles with your feet. And your shoulders. I'm going to take the legs wide. Now, it doesn't have to be as wide as you can possibly take your legs. Bring your hands to your legs. Push in with your legs, out with your hands. Deepen the fronts of your ankles. Now, if you need to bend your knees, if you're tightening your hamstrings, then bend your knees. Maybe bring your hands behind you. You'd like these inner thighs to go toward the ground. When you come forward, and maybe you don't go very far, tuck your chin. So you lift the base of your skull off the atlas vertebra. And by holding the weight of the head up, you can lengthen your spine, get your legs working like when you had your hands. Get your feet as though they were on the floor or against the wall. Again, don't struggle with it trying to get someplace that you're not ready to go yet. You find things in small things. You go, oh, if I did that with my left foot, or oh, if I did that with my right leg, if I didn't push my tongue up into the roof of my mouth, if I touch my chin, and if I deepen the base of my throat, if I pulled energy backward through my arms, it's the little things, it's those little shifts that make a whole difference. And inhale, come back up. And bring your legs in. All right, we're going to lie back. Stretching out through your spine. We're going to cross the right thigh over the left. Bring your bring your right foot toward your left calf. Stretch your arms out. Tuck your left hip under. Now, can you bring your front hip bones in? Can you bring the base of your rib cage in? So you'll support the thymus gland. Yesterday we did the tapping. Keep your right foot coming towards your left leg. Maybe it tucks in behind. Stretch your fingers. You don't have slack hands. If you have slack hands, your upper back isn't working. Press the backs of your hands into the ground. Then when you start bringing your legs out toward the left side, you turn your face to the right. Is that right shoulder blade coming up into your neck? Can you slide it down into your back? Turn your thumbs toward the floor, away from your little fingers. Wait for the exhalation part of your breath. Is your belly, are you supporting the front side of your lumbar spine? Is your belly falling forward? When you come back up. Under your legs, fix your hips. And shake your hands, or go side to side with your knees, or kick your feet up into circles with your feet. Alright. So when you bring your left thigh across, okay, if you push your right foot down into the ground, if you pull the energy from your right foot towards your hip, don't move it, but pull the energy. Can you feel how that changes your right thigh? Back up. And when you bring your left foot towards your right calf, and you tuck your right hip under, stretch your arms out, your fingers are long, press the backs of your hands to the ground, pull the tops of your arms in, so your shoulder blades come down into your back. Now pull your belly backward, lower your chin, and you start bringing your legs over to your right side. You're using your right leg to bring your left leg across, and I say this all the time. If the knee end of your left thigh bone comes down, the hip end of it has to come up. It's one bone, it's one line, which opens up your left hip away from off your lower back. What about your belly? Alright, and then you come back up and you fix your back. And do happy baby. So bring the legs in. Maybe this is where you stay. You square, lower your chin. Then bring your heels away from your hips. You could reach up for the little toe sides, or you could reach up for the big toe sides of your feet. If your big toes are closer to you than your little toe, you want to see about leveling with the balls of your feet. You want to go side to side in child's pose. Alright, and then rest. Get ready for Shavasana. It's a spread eagle space. Your chin lower than your forehead, a few long, slow, deep breaths, and as you exhale your breath, acknowledge that your arms or your legs don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to bring your front hip bones in. Breathing is easier to remember to breathe. Soften the corners of your eyes and the corners of your mouth. Relax the skin over your nose and cheekbones. Right there in front of your ears where your jawbone connects to your skull. And if you have something that works for you, do that. That keeps your mind on your breath. But you could also imagine that your breath works like, moves in the pattern of figure eight. The inhalation starts at the bottom, and it goes up in a long curved line to the top. At the top, that's the end of your inhalation. Your exhalation comes down the other side, crossing at the center, all the way down to the bottom. Maybe there's a pause at the top, maybe there's a pause at the bottom. Maybe. Long, narrow loops. And if it works to just let go of the exhalation, let the exhalation come all the way back down till there's no breath left. Don't force it, don't struggle with it, just let it go. Then you inhale again so you can exhale again. Letting go. So again, stay as long as you like. When you're ready, you stretch, you roll to your right side, resting your head on your arm. Alright, again, happy Monday. Namaste.